Part of the reason that rivers and salmon are so complicated is because they stretch out over big areas. Salmon are going to be born here in eastern Washington. They're going to travel hundreds of miles before they get to salt water. Once they get to the Pacific Ocean, our Washington state fish are going to turn right and go up to the Gulf of Alaska. They're going to swim thousands of miles, and then those fish come all the way back home. Now it does get complicated because our salmon that originate in eastern Washington, they swim right past Puget Sound on their way past Canada up to the Gulf of Alaska. Our fish have got to go up there because that's where their food is. That's where they get big and strong, fat and happy. But on the way, there are Puget Sound Orcas pods that like to feed on them too. So there's been a lot of concern lately about the health of those Puget Sound orcas. And for folks who want to support the Puget Sound orcas, they've been turning a lot of attention to eastern Washington salmon as a way to help rescue the orcas. Well, just like about every environmental story I know, you gotta back up and take the big picture view. These orcas are a very long-lived species. They don't reproduce quickly. That was the very group of animals where they collected almost all of the killer whales that ended up in SeaWorld or ended up in movies. If you start taking a lot of adults away from the population of a slow-growing animal, that's really going to affect their population dynamics over time. Another thing that I think is really affecting the Puget Sound orcas is the quality of water that they swim in. It's not uncommon for there to be a sewer break somewhere along the line within that Puget Sound corridor. Puget Sound also is a highly industrialized area. Anybody who's been to Seattle, there are acres and acres of industrial development right along the water. There's also a lot of boat traffic there, lots of noise. Orcas hunt using echolocation, sonar, if you will. They rely on sound, how quickly sound travels away from them and how quickly sound comes back to them. So with lots of boat motors going overhead, that's got to be very noisy and harder for them to hear and hunt effectively. If you think about it, it's the only endangered mammal that we're expecting to live in a population center, right? Expecting orcas to thrive in downtown Seattle waterfront is kind of like expecting grizzly bears to survive downtown in Denver. Maybe not the best habitat for people and those large predatory animals to be so close together.